That's the way I
probably could. And maybe I but I don't like that.
get that seriously, right? That's it.
Oh, I can figure it out. I ain't ready to spend water. See if I can get around it next time. But that's on myself.
Sometimes you right? That's okay too. Sometimes. Upset clients.
My reaction to that situation. That card has nothing to do with it. It's bigger fan
gain some confidence and you don't go to the leadership meeting in front of 12 very high expectations there. Leaders really tough for me. That's not what you want to be. Their first time carrying the ball down the field might be okay. There's a pretty good chance you're going to be so try to set them up more for success. Right? So we're talking about victory. We're still hitting it off. Right? That's real. It's real life intersecting. Right? Shoot farmers. That's a problem.
I can see it over here.
So, she works from home. She does a lot from home. She makes sure that there's she takes care of 80%. Right? So I think she takes care because she has and that's okay. She is the one right? We try to share. I joke with her occasionally and say, wouldn't even dream I'm a friend. I ended up being you can tell him later. Poor Gary.
No, that was it. Yeah. That would be part of it. I haven't because then that's
like Johnny Carver's access to this.
Yeah, that I read.
It's not you know, my league, it's actually just one thing.
So I had 5 kids, so I had 5 kids working at the job. Okay, so now I'm 3 mornings a week, 2 nights a week, and getting to soccer practice. Kids watch out. The planetary on top of the it's probably not bad here, but some other people have an impact. That's what I think. I think he's off the chart.
Okay, take about 1 more minute and then we'll come back.
Having communication skills, how you charge the batteries. I charge my batteries.
Okay, thank you. Come on back if you would. We have about 5 minutes left before the man with the shepherd's hook comes along and pulls me off the stage. So I'm just going to open this up, folks. I'm just going to open it up. We only have a few minutes. It's yours. Let's hear from you. Those are some things, but whatever come up for you. Comments, questions, criticism, besides yours.
We have 5 more minutes or?
5 minutes. No, here together.
Oh, together.
You're done over there.
Can't talk to each other.
Sorry.
What do we got?
I have a question,
Yeah.
or our conversation, and finished. Has the organization done any type of a study about the presidents of our country and plotted them according to this? Because none were perfect, but they all have different types of strengths or weaknesses. That would be fascinating because we study them and we see them so much to see them back inside the system. Is there such a report?
Well, it's a little hard to look at it. You got to look at behavior and then extrapolate what the level might be. It's probably been done. I've not read it about it. There's some presidents I would love to have take the 360. That would be really exciting. But no, not that I'm aware of. But maybe there's an opening for you.
Yeah, let's not go there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not good.
Jack.
So one of the things that really comes to clear focus is how much the process, the skills that are being used either up where it's good or down where it's reactive are pretty much the same. It's the application of it. So if I'm doing it and I'm not aware of it, I've got these biases that are going on back there. And since I'm not aware of it internally, I'm doing the world's about me internally. You all are just decoration. But if the focus, settle down. If the focus is external, then you're applying that for a higher purpose, if you will. It's not about protecting me, it's about protecting the organization or advancing the organization.
Yes. It's bigger than you.
And what got very clear for me is that this exercise has now focused, or has now risen to the point that, okay, there are things that are going on back there. They're using the same toolbox, but they've got different outcomes, and so that also is applying to the following. So we've got bias. We've all got bias. I mean, one of the knee-jerk reactions when I was in the big chair was when somebody said they were going to sue me. My first reaction was because I was going to say, "Go ahead."
Well, Bob Anderson had this wonderful leadership coaching question, which I'll share with you. I think it's to the leader, especially to the CEO. What are you trying to create here that really matters to you? And that forces the person to, hopefully, if they say, well, I want to make myself a star, well, okay, we'll work with that, but basically forces them out of themselves. Even if they're a reactive leader, it's a challenging question. And if you ask that to a reactive leader, you'll probably get they won't know what to say, because that's a whole new thing. What are you trying to create that really matters to you?
One of the things that I do is, a lot of people wait until the end of a career, but I'll ask somebody what legacy they want to leave.
Yeah.
Because then you start to do it, so that you're not looking back and go, gee, I wish I would have.
That's a great question too. And it forces them to leave the framework of reactive, and it's all about me, to something higher up. So there's two books that have been written. If you're interested in this is Mastering Leadership. This is the first one that Bob Anderson and Bill Adams, his co-author, wrote. This is kind of the guy that explains all of this in detail, and it's got statistics coming out of the yin yang, and it's really good. This one came out last year called Scaling Leadership. It's about how you can take it in your organization and scale it within the organization. So I'll leave these here if you want to take a look at them. I've got a couple of flyers if anybody wants to look at, just take a glance at those. And with that, I will respond to the shepherd with his hook. Thank you very much.
Look at that, they're happy you're done.
Yeah, I get that a lot.
So I want to thank you for all the knowledge that you've transferred, and I have to correct something that I said earlier when we were having Chinese food. I didn't realize that you were curating all these books and just passing that information back to me.
Yeah.
I thought it was your brilliance.
Yeah, well, it worked then, didn't it?
Yeah.
Is this kind of Trump and Macron now?
We don't talk politics here. I was going to give you this, but I'm not.
Well, it's not very much anyway. We're both in our reactive, Jack. Thank you very much.
Thank you for a delightful session.
Remember your first slide.
I'm glad it's being videotaped.
Yeah, me too. Now I've got proof about how I get treated by people. Just dashed to the ground. It's terrible. Next time is November 1st. That's the next time we'll be together. Turn your phones back on, or don't, as you'd like. I've done my part. I've reminded you. And many of you have a piece of paper in front of you that is one of several different colors. Is there a significance to that? Now, that's something that I'll just let you ponder. But if you would, fill it out. It's useful for the facilitators to see what you're taking away from the session. And I'm curious about what you what you've discovered in the past hour that you're going to use at 10 o'clock this morning if the situation comes up. So what did you learn? What are you taking away? Jeff?
Well, one of the things that I found this whole thing very fascinating is looking at this presentation of the model. Yes, the introspection part of it, but also how does that intersect with emotional intelligence? How does that interact with other models of leadership and scenarios and things like that, because they all provide each other a lot of support. And so there's a lot to turn over about that.
Well, I have to agree with it. It's leadership is and just human relations are very, very complex.
And one other thought that does spring to mind is that the especially because we spoke about this in sort of physical maturation, that how this model applies when you have millennials and older and us, people of a certain age, where where are they in?
Point to you, Bob.
Yeah. Where are they in this? Where are we in this? And for example, just the specific example is, we've got so much volatility and rate of change type of stuff that specifically, for example, that has come about with the technology revolution, where millennials, it's second nature to them, and older people would, as a behavior, likely fall back into the safe environment when faced with rapid change in complex organization and complex environment. So how that environment affects these behaviors as well. Things to think about.
Well, they kind of evolve. For those of us with the gray hair, we feel that you shouldn't come into an organization and expect to be the top person, the CEO, in 6 months. Took us longer to do that. So it makes sense that it should take others longer to do it as well. The one question, I'll be right back with you, but one thing that comes from the subject that you just explored is the change in the way that we do things. We went through 40 years of killing off middle management, and people just absorbed jobs without getting really trained to do them or prepared. So they learned on the job. I did a presentation for the FAA one time, and there was a guy sitting at the end of the table where Inez is. And I said, we were going around the table, what's your job? He says, that's my job. I said, what? He says, I did this, and on 9/11 I pulled all of the airplanes out of the air. That's my job. I bet his boss doesn't know that. And I hope he doesn't have an opportunity to do that again.
Underlying a lot of what we've talked about is the need for introspection.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you're not, and this came up in our small group, if you're not self-aware, you're not going to do any of this. You're not going to be thinking of where you are on the big circle, a little circle, where you want to be. You're just going to be on instinct. You're just going to be on autopilot. If you don't stop and think about how you're feeling and how you're reacting, and put a quarter-second delay in your reactions, what you think, what you feel, especially what you say, if you're not doing that, you're not going to make any progress. You're not going to have a clue.
A quarter a second would probably clean up the language a lot, too. I think that's a good point. We've with instant gratification, with instant availability, I think we've lost the imagination part and the contemplation or whatever's going on in there. So we've got surface thinkers. That's my term for it, where I'm not processing it. I'm taking it in and I'm spitting it back out. And I haven't added anything to it.
Surface tweeters and surface emailers. You can
Yeah.
use a quarter-second delay there too.
Okay, I think you've got a project to do then. What else?
You know, when we just talking about self-awareness a little bit too, it sort of struck me when I was looking at, when we were looking at all these things, that I deal with a lot of people on resiliency, and all these things seem to fit into being more resilient. And so, you know, it triggers on some of the things to work on, and it just makes it more insightful about what to do on that too. Also, what Ian said there too, and look at all, we're not all, you know, I think we all look at these things and we assume you're in a category. It's like when people say you're an introvert or an extrovert. You know, I find a lot of people tend to be ambiverts. I don't know if I made that up or not, or if that's even a word, but you know, it's we're putting people in boxes, and I think what Ian was saying there too was like you look at it and there's just we're not all in each one of these categories, so just to be, you know, watch out for them.
We might have to put you on a quarter-second delay. So let's thank Ian again. Thank you. It was a morning worth being here for, including the sunrise that we're hiding now. And for Pat too, thank you for the hospitality. And remember, if you get locked up, call at 3 a.m. It's okay. And that's pretty much it for right now. We've got the room. Whoops. Yes, sir.
Could we have a shout out to silent service, Tom and Jim?
No. It'll go to their heads. Yes, would you please thank Tom, who is the head grip, I think that's what they call him, and Jim, who's really the brains of the organization. Thank you. Clean up. We've got the room. They've got those goodies over there. Some conversation to be had. And I'll see you next month.